And today we have invited Svetlana Petrova, who is PhD, financial economist and behavioral scientist, Miami Fourth area from South Africa, South Florida, sorry. Her topic is current career challenges in the age of artificial intelligence. As we are knowing that nowadays artificial intelligence is working in every field. So what are the challenges in the career for the youths and others? She will explain. I welcome you, ma'am, from my organization and from my all participants. And I request you, you can start your speech now. Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much for having me tonight. I know it's the evening time in India, it's the morning time here in South Florida. And today's topic is really, I think, very important to understand for many people, for just general understanding of how life works in 2026, as well as realizing what challenges, benefits, and opportunities everybody is facing in the era of AI development. So I prepared presentation with some statistics for you, but I also think that I will just share a lot of experience that I've been able to gain lately. And just to add to the introduction that Dr. Betkar made in a very amazing way, I just want to say that I've been working in various financial technology projects for over a decade, and I did my research in this area. And one of the big questions that we all are currently facing is the AI shock that affects pretty much everything and every single area. So, for the last 2 years, I've been collaborating with several real business projects on AI implementation in various fields, not only in finance. And I've been a part of the teams that train models, develop models, make the models the better and the faster comparing to their competitors. And of course, it all is developing very, very quickly. And so it's an ongoing process. But a couple of interesting observations include that when you start working with the models, when you start using AI, you pretty quickly can gain certain skills and get this like gut feeling about how they really work, what you can get from there. And at the same time, you should be very, very cautious about what you're doing, how you're doing, and don't treat them like if they are superior or experts in the area, because the expert and you are still in the driver's seat, and the expert is still you. So let me start sharing my screen for the presentation, because I really want to share some facts that are applicable to to the current state of the market, because we primarily want to focus on the job outcomes, and this is something that really can help you to get better insight of what can be going on. So here are some slides. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think we have a chat available, so I will make sure to have some time at the end and be happy to answer them. So basically, what I want to talk about today is I want to start with what's going on in AI at all. What is AI? Like, there is a big hype about AI. Everybody is speaking about AI. But what is deep inside and underneath there? Then I want to briefly cover how the mechanisms behind what we see look, just for better better understanding of how we collaborate with them, and then look at the impact of different professions, how the job market is shaped in under this shock, and then some interesting impacts that been part of the research from Stanford, MIT, and the overall observations of the AI impact, both on the market shape and on behavior of different people. So overall, it's not surprising that many different companies, consulting agencies, government agencies keep an eye on what's going on the market. This is where the starting point is for understanding the career challenges. Like, when we speak about the economics for any subject, it's driven by supply and demand, and the demand side is what's heavily impacted by AI. We can just think about it. Previously, like 10 years ago, think about the recent graduate who is entering the job market and who have a lot of energy, a lot of ambitions, and at the same time, they have quite few real life projects in their backpack, if any. They may not have the necessary hands-on experience that many firms have, like many firms want to have, and here they are, the newcomers, interns, trainees, and they're learning. What was their primary role in the business? Many of them were fulfilling some tasks when more senior people, managers, supervisors were giving them something that required a lot of handwork and not as much skill yet. This process was facilitated on two sides. On the one side, the supervisors, managers had help that they needed, and they could solve all the problems faster. On the other side, trainees and interns had this experience that was hands-on when more senior, more experienced person was showing how to start with one or another project, how to do some tasks. And that was a learning process for those newcomers. So, what's happening now, and this is like in a very, very broad sense, is that AI actually fills the niche of these helpers because it can do some tasks like they were the very brand new entry level interns. And this is something that everybody is basically scared of, that, how we're going to place our recent graduates and what's going to happen and all the things like that. I should say that partially it's true, but the key word in this phrase is partially, because the AI adoption is not really so automatic, equally spread all over industries. In fact, it's very uneven. So here you can see I collected information from several recent reports from Gallup, Deloitte, and some other firms, like I mentioned, government agencies and marketing firms, consulting firms. They all are very much interested into the AI implementation, like understanding the market for AI, because again, that's a part of their business. So Deloitte numbers, there is a 50% increase in worker access to AI during the 2025. And that this really gives people opportunity to increase their productivity. And so that's something that is considered a good sign. Based on the Gallup fourth quarter of 2025 report, just 26% of workers use AI few times a week at least. So you can see that even though that many people have access to AI, not everybody is using it. And that's not necessarily due to lack of understanding or any kind of corporate policies, but it may be also the positions that cannot use AI as help. That's pretty common as well. And then The same report says that 49% of workers who say they never use AI in their role. So half of the people out there don't really utilize any opportunities. And before you think that, oh my God, that's so bad, right? Like when in 2026 AI is some kind of stable now, we actually can think about planners, drivers, some other professions that do not really require any kind of AI in their daily jobs. And also AI investments, because, the AI is developing because it promises a really big and bright future, and all the investments made seem to be really profitable, should be profitable. But again, it all depends on the competition. It all depends on how the investments are made, how the models are built, how the market is assessed. So this all not so even again. Just to clarify that there is a big, big, big expectation. I would say that the expectation is rather even over industries than uneven with the implementation. But the implementation is not there yet. And for many fields and professions, it may never be there just because of the nature of those. So the XAO expectations remain high, but many investments in AI, and I don't mean just investments made by the giants like OpenAI or Claude AI or the companies that develop and implement the models, but I also am thinking and speaking about, just average business that wants to enhance their opportunities, their climate serving, and they also want to invest into implementing AI. So the expectations are high, but these investments are not always profitable. Again, think about plumbing business. How much AI can they use? Not necessarily that much, right? So productivity and efficiency expectations are 66% on average. Again, like based on the surveys that's been made by Gallup. Um, Expectations to make better decisions and insights just using the analytical capabilities about 53% and the cost reduction of 40%. So the cost reduction here is mostly like probably the primary thing that we want to talk about today, because many businesses actually treat cost reduction as layoffs. And I'm sure that you've heard about some massive layoffs within like the last half a year when people really the companies decided to lay off a lot of personnel, and then some of them really were not thriving anymore because the human talent cannot be beat by AI. Why cannot it be beat by AI? So here's the thing: what AI and LLMs are really. So I'm sure everybody remembers their high school mathematics, maybe college level, calculus, linear algebra, like any kind of math class. So remember, we had all the different modeling and equations where we have x equal to blah blah blah, y, or like y equal to some mathematical model with x, 1x, 2x's, x1, x2, x100, and we were solving for these equations. So basically, AI is nothing more than the mathematical equations underneath the story. So you can think about it as some sort of very, very, very long, very, very sophisticated and complex equation that model can build itself. That model can improve based on the data, that actually tries to fit available data the best possible way. Again, like think about calculus, think about statistics 101, business statistics, or anything like this, how we try to fit like regression, basic regression model there. This is all the same. So the quality of the AI model very often depends, and I would say maybe like over 90% success depend on that. And it's the high quality data underneath that can be used to train these models. So when we are making a prompt, when we ask the model to do ABC, to find data, to sort something out, to solve some problem. Yeah. I'm sorry, can you say it again? So can I continue? Okay, sure. Thank you so much. So I think like if there are any questions, I will just look at the chat afterwards because I cannot see the chat when I'm sharing my screen with you guys. So if it's okay with you, let's proceed that way, okay? So I've been talking about how the AI underneath looks. And the AI models, like everything that we observe now, like LLMs and OpenAI, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Claude AI, name it, all of them will be following the same structure. They are all trained on the high, like humongously high amounts of data. And they use various mathematical techniques. They're like, this is where all the AI development, the AI data scientists work, developing the new techniques and models, how to feed this humongous amount of data to the mathematical modeling.
Your camera is off. Please check it.
Are you speaking about me?
Camera is, yes. Okay, now perfect.
Yeah, because like you cannot see me on the camera when I am sharing the screen. That's, I cannot do both.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will keep talking about that because like I think the Google Meets does not allow to have like to see the person on the camera. So it's either or. My apologies that they work that way. They could do a better job. I agree.
No problem. Continue.
When you are doing the prompting, when you are working with AI model, your input, the phrase that you put there, like asking, "Hi, ChatGPT, tell me what's the weather today in Delhi," right? This is like X1, X2, X3, and whatever the number of X's is in the model. So when I'm sure you've heard that a lot of advice now online telling you how to make the prompt so that you will get a better result. This is all about it because the more precisely you describe whatever you need, the better the outcome is gonna be. And this is purely because it's AI. Now think about it. If you have exactly same prompt and you share it with 10 of your friends, and each of these 10 friends will copy and paste it into, let's say, ChatGPT. Because it's the mathematical model, you all will have exactly the same answer. So that's why when I'm teaching students and we're discussing some problems, I always tell them like just don't copy paste it there because you will all have exactly same answer, and that's gonna be more like cheating than working with AI. So that's a limitation, and you should always remember that unlike human, like if you ask a human being the same question 10 times, the answer is never gonna be the same. It always is going to sound slightly differently. It may have the same general idea, but the wording will never be the same. So, unlike humans, the AI answers are never creative. They can only draw from existing data. Now, next level of complexity and next level that's interesting to understand. What we are having now, all the models, OpenAI, DeepSeek, Claude, it doesn't matter. They all are called LLMs, which is large language models. So basically, they are linguistically trained. Even when they do reasoning, even when they do thinking, like deep thinking modes, they are still juggling only language, which implies that the quality of their work may be different in different languages, and that's pretty much expected. Then all the reasoning that you give them, it's all just drawing from the humongous amount of data, and it all is about finding the same patterns that someone super smart already did and added as a part of that data. So the typical strengths of these models are drafting and summarizing, coding help, because like code is all about typing and kind of text, and some classifications, questions and answers, etc. However, once you get into deeper levels and wanted to be, let's say, investment advisor, helping you to build a portfolio, you cannot really rely on it that much. It can do some math, but again, even math is just drawing from the humongous amount of data. I can bring you a very good example that I'm still facing pretty often in teaching basic corporate finance. So we have ratio analysis where we have percent and ratios. And as we know, percent and ratios are sort of equivalent. If we speak about 30%, it's 0.3 and vice versa. But this transition is really necessary to solve for some mathematical problems. And this is where AI just struggles. They just cannot do anything about it. Even the smartest AI models that used to answer correctly in every single question can hallucinate and give you wrong results in, 1 to 5% times. And it matters, especially if you think about some real life decisions. So you don't want to make the wrong decision because of the AI. So now, how does it transform into the current career outcomes and the job market setup? So here is some sort of graph where I try to analyze various industries based on the number, like the level of routine that can be coded for AI, the level of judgment, and some other parameters that affect the ability of the professions to be enhanced or even replaced by AI. So first of all, as we all know, the big questions is like, okay, will I be replaced by AI as a professional? Is my career at risk? And here is an honest assessment. So AI first hits the professions that are digital and text heavy. So, for example, if you need to make notes, like when my students need to make notes in class, they can use AI. They don't have to do this anymore. When professors create some lecture notes for the classes based on their PowerPoints or general topics, this is where AI can be real help. So I don't necessarily need a TA for part of my tasks anymore because AI really helps. Then whatever can be broken into repeatable subtasks also is under risk because this is something that quite easy to code in AI. Anything that doesn't require deep thinking, deep analysis, deep judgment, and anything that's not as related on trust or knowledge or something that can be easily drawn by the internet databases. Like for example, coding. If you're just a starting entry-level programmer, then maybe you don't have all this knowledge of the code by heart. Previously, that would be a big, big problem. Now, the big, big problem is to have people who understand what the code means, because nowadays you can use AI to ask you to code something, but you have to be an expert to see if the code is correct. And that actually applies to everything. You have to be an expert to use AI and to make sure that the results that AI provides you with are correct, true, and reliable. And again, that's one of the biggest problems, the biggest mistakes people do. They start relying on AI as an expert guide, and then they cannot spot if AI hallucinates. I've heard from many different students of mine and my colleagues who, for example, tried to use it to collect some legal base or to collect the current research papers, do the summaries, and it just hallucinates. It can recreate the rules and documents that never existed, and this is really dangerous. So, still, the junior workers are those who impacted the most right now because the entry level workers in AI jobs basically now have to have the extra skill set that would let them to track AI performance rather than do everything by hand. So think about it. If for example, when I'm teaching finance professionals and they graduate, they used to start as analysts, as financial analysts in companies and on Wall Street, and their primary job was doing analysis in Excel. Nowadays it's not productive to do everything by hand. You have to type, you can never be as fast as AI. So their role actually shifted towards being a facilitator of AI's work doing that. So they basically, if they previously were those who were implementing everything, doing everything by hand, now they are controllers to see if AI did a good job, if they use right formulas. And for this reason, the knowledge becomes the asset, not just skill. And knowledge is something that has to be there in order to start. And I'm comparing it with the situation before, like, let's say, pre-COVID and pre-AI, of course, when, just basic knowledge and good hands-on experience could beat the market rather than the opposite combination. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. So you can see that by Stanford and Dallas Fed issued some analysis, and they observed some selective decline in certain positions like software development, customer service, or any kind of admin work. And it's like within firms, it dropped like about 13%. And for when there is firm level control, the 16% is the highest drop. So you can see, and you can probably hear that the entry level jobs are now harder to land. So does it mean that we're all cursed? Of course not. It's just the overall change in the market. It's the process, it's ongoing, and we all have to juggle the information that's coming literally every day. And that we really have to adjust. Again, those who are just graduating and want to land good jobs still have decent options for the employment, but they have to adjust their skill set. On the other hand, what's interesting, the older, more experienced workers become more important asset for many firms. And I cannot say for the worldwide, for country by country analysis, but I know that there are many research projects out there saying that in different cultures and different countries, older employees could experience discrimination, or it could be less desired. And if someone, like here in the United States, for example, in some professions, if someone lost their job at 50, it was almost impossible to land a new one. Just because the age and because companies wanted to invest more into young and more energetic employees. So this is changing too, because nothing can beat years of experience. You get those people who are professionals, they can spot problems very quickly. And this is where a lot of companies target. An interesting observation as well is that a lot of companies who are implementing AI now, want to hire so-called subject matter experts, the position that probably never existed before in the form of a separate employment. But now people want to have subject matter experts who would help them to implement the AI projects, who would help them to identify data, who would help them to make good decisions and not to fall into any traps just because of the lack of the experience. So, overall, we can again say about uneven impact. The early careers, the early career positions, maybe a little bit less in demand until at least they are really doing some shifts to get ready for the market. Then experienced jobs, experienced people, maybe the same demand or even some increase in demands, and less exposed jobs still are growing. And for example, here in S we have really shortage of plumbers, contractors, like construction employees, and some other like any kind of job that's hands-on. AI cannot go put a toilet on, they cannot go do plumbing, they cannot go fix your electricity, so you still need humans there. Now, how about different professions? Healthcare. As you probably can imagine, healthcare is not just about treating people. Healthcare about having notes, keeping notes, workflow management, reading images. And in these fields, AI is a huge help. So there was some research project by Harvard Medical School where they developed AI model that was reading years and years of images of patients with lung cancer. And previously, it was just human mind who could take a look at these patients, and in some cases, it could be predicted that the lung cancer is developing. In some cases, it was not. So what they tried to do, they tried to use AI model to analyze those images and see if AI could predict the lung cancer better. And the results were just tremendous. The level of prediction quality showed by AI model exceeded the human perception many, many, many times. And it's explainable because what the machine can do, what the machine can see tiny patterns that the human eye may not necessarily decode. This is what was there, and that made a huge impact. Also, AI helps doctors to keep notes, not to spend time on this paperwork, and rather focus on the patients and the patient outcomes, which also means more time with patients, more focus on patients, and hopefully increase in the healthcare results. So that's one of the domains that may seriously benefit from the AI. And it actually doesn't eliminate doctors, as you can notice, because it's just something, some extra helping hand that always was needed but impossible to have. Now, professional services. So, professional services would include any kind of clerk job, I would say. So, legal, tax, accounting, any kind of consulting firms, any kind of like legal services. So here, as of 2026, 40% of organizations already use AI. And the return on investment on this kind of AI implementation is really high in this setting because it helps to automate routine works that would be covered by interns and entry-level employees otherwise. On one hand, it means less personnel, which of course is cutting costs, which is not good for the new hires or for the those who just graduate. But it also increases the customer satisfaction because it increases the speed of any kind of routine tasks. It also helps to have less human-centered mistakes, as you can imagine. And this is something that can also optimize the workflows and to increase the quality. So AI is good in that. It's just, like we say that the computer is doing exactly what they are told to do. It's mathematics. There is no right or left. There are no laziness. There is no, tiredness when people are working enormous shifts and just make some emission simply because they're overloaded. So they definitely benefit from that. And now higher education. Being a representative of higher education, at least in part of my professional life, and I'm currently teaching at the University of Cincinnati and still doing research concurrent with my role at Google, where I do AI model implementations. So I can say that education, like higher education, probably is the area that was impacted by the AI the most. And this impact is also uneven, and this impact is important. And I'm sorry, and this impact is noticeable. So first of all, when ChatGPT just appeared, all the universities were against it and was prohibited to use in the classroom or in any assignments. Nowadays, universities are widely implementing AI for teaching support, for administrative tasks, for productivity, and even for studying. I can proudly share that the University of Cincinnati, for example, has their own AI that was created in a collaboration with the OpenAI project, and that is strictly trained to help students to learn. In today's classroom, as you could probably guess, we're not just focusing on the knowledge, but we are focusing as well on how students can use AI to shift their skills from purely hands on to controlling. At the same time, we do not exclude this hands on experience because how can they control, how can they check the quality of the job if they never did it by hand? But this shift interestingly shapes the students' interest towards the area. And if previously, when it just appeared, they tried to shift the workload on AI, now they really use it as the complementary support that they have. And that makes them way more competitive on the job market when they graduate. So, um, again, here's just some statistics for the job market and career implementations for AI that been done for several more companies. And technology is one of the areas where the impact is the most. So many firms also are adding new workloads: infrastructure, data governance, enablement, and some other areas. So it's not just, it would not be correct to say that AI is taking jobs. In fact, AI is creating jobs, but that jobs are new and the speed of adjustment that's required to succeed is really high. Now, another interesting angle that I really want to touch here, something that I observe way less when people are talking about AI, career, job market, and the overall shock that we all are living in. And this is the mental and behavioral impact of AI. First of all, as you probably remember, I'm a behavioral scientist and I do various projects that are survey based. When I look at how people feel about certain things, how people behavior is changing, and a few of my recent observations include the AI impact, and it's very interesting to observe. So, first of all, AI is not generally approved for the workplace, as we all know. The implementations are uneven, sometimes sporadic, but many people want to increase their productivity by using that. And that, interestingly or expectedly, creates a mental load because what happens is that uh, people almost feel like they're kind of sneaking into these opportunities without formal approval, without letting their managers know, but still being proud of their work because it's not like they are giving up their work, but they are enhancing. I had several survey that included word comments with people who work in programming and who are really experienced in programming languages and been there like for 20 years and more. And some interesting comments included like, "Oh, I'm almost delegating my work and I'm still getting paid." And something that had like created a lot of internal conflict and hesitation. So it's interesting to think about like how people perceive that. Then also there is a lot of fear. Many workers may resist using AI because of the fear that AI can replace them, and they don't want to do that. Also, there are studies there about how the cognitive impact on AI looks. So, Microsoft study of knowledge workers found that the high confidence in Gen AI is associated with less critical thinking. The human role shifts towards checking, integrating, and stewarding. And that could not be more true. There was another small survey based project that been implemented by MIT, where they separated students in the class to three groups. And the first group was, and they all were asked to write an essay on the known topic. And the first group was not given any support. So they just were having pen and paper and had to write it down. Then the second group had Google, so they could do Google search to support the essay writing. And the third group had Gen AI, ChatGPT that they could use to help them write the essay. At the same time, they used some monitors to check for brain activity of the students in each group. And if they looked at the first group as the 100% standard starting point, those who never used anything other than pen, paper, and their own brain, then the Google, the second group who was allowed to use Google had 25% less brain activity when they were writing an essay. And it's something that's not surprising. But when they looked at the group that used the large language model, ChatGPT, their brain activity dropped over 70%. So basically, when people overly rely on AI, they stop using the capabilities of their brain. They stop analyzing and critical thinking as much. And this fact alone may sound terrifying in the long run, because if we all switch to just using AI, never critically thinking, then what kind of future it brings to the humanity in general? And I'll leave this question just there hanging. So, um, also, the Harvard Business Review publication argues the same thing, that low effort output can create hidden costs that are built on the cognitive pattern change. And also, many people use AI before policies, guardrails, training catch up, which means that they don't really know what the safety rules are. They don't really know how to use it well, and it increases anxiety. So, what professionals can do to succeed in the era of AI? Don't overtrust it. Position yourself as a problem solver, and not just position, stay in this position. Make sure that you do not over rely on AI. Make sure that you really are doing your work. And I know how tempting it may be to ask AI to do everything for you, but make sure to focus on your own delegating some routine tasks rather than overall your job. Then protect your thinking. Use AI as your draft partner. Challenge it, verify, but keep your thinking process on your end. Make sure about thinking very carefully about prompting. A good idea is actually, when you do the prompting, to assign the role, like saying like, well, I'm a university professor and you are my teaching assistant. And today I want to cover this topic and I want to create a 2-page handout for my students. The 2-page handout should include the following topics. I also want to add an exercise for this and this. And I want to create the second handout that would have this assignment answers. So something like that. So it's not just like, hey, ChatGPT, create a student's handout for the following topic for me. Because first of all, it will, the first way will keep your mind sharp, and you just edit, you just take a look at what's done, what's not done, and you are still in the driver's seat for the content. So it's just the writing part that ChatGPT is doing for you. And if you just give the general task, you basically shift all the responsibility on the AI's end, and that never is gonna end the same well as it would be otherwise. Translate experience into judgment. So make tested knowledge visible, trade-offs, stakeholder content, risk flags, etc. So make sure to stay sharp. Build evidence, not just claims. So keep and have work samples, before after samples, process maps. One subjective and personal hint here is that, recently LinkedIn started highlighting the projects section in addition to your employment section. This is where you can put it, because that's gonna matter much more in the long run, showing you what is the exact work that you did rather than the name that you had. And choose environments carefully. Ask how performance is measured, how AI is governed, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what are security measures, and like how the junior staff is treated. Do they get coaching? Do they are they placed in their real responsibility teams and all these things? And also, I actually want to say a few words about security. I know that's probably already something that you've heard about, but this is extremely important. Uh, it's still unclear, despite all the guidance, how the data, the inputs that we all are typing for ChatGPT, Claude, or any other LLM, how this information is stored. Unless this is purely corporate system that has very clear guidance and has to follow through compliance process. So anything that you type in the chat GPT or any other LLM, unless it's your professional corporate approved one, could be treated as almost like posting on the web, because this information usually is trained by the models so that they would improve their quality. And you can understand that from the cybersecurity standpoint, it may not be as sustainable. So now, how can organizations create more opportunity? How can they implement AI in the best way to support their business ideas, yet to make their employees most efficient? They can redesign work, which would probably require some policy change, some additions, some very open acknowledgement of the entering the AI era. So reassembling roles, making sure that every person fits, and it doesn't mean layoffs. It means that this the shock of AI can really increase productivity and improve performance. And maybe it's worth to take a look at who can do what in the best way. I mean, for example, if someone was working on Excel spreadsheets the entire career, that may look like the obsolete work in 2026 when you can implement AI. This person, with the help of AI, can be easily qualified into some sort of auditor for this AI work through the AI implementation process and further work of AI, because that would be the best person who could spot AI errors in a fraction of a second, most likely. So this is what I mean under redesigning the work. Then protect entry paths. Preserve apprentice tasks, supervised practice, junior hiring channels instead of deleting the bottom rung. Why is it important? Because think about future. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, those super experienced employees will retire. And the companies will have to deal with those who are new hires today, who if excluded from the system, will not have this knowledge, will not have this experience. Who will be those who will control AI, who will check the results of AI? There will be no such professionals. So companies should be strategic about that. Measure the right things. Track quality, cycle time, error rates, client outcomes, and return on investment, not just labor savings. That's a trap that several companies fell into lately. And after firing a lot of their talent, just simply went bankrupt, like within half a year after. So this is really a crucial thing, and one of the biggest mistakes that many companies did at the start of the AI implementation. Then build skills and guardrails. Invest in training, prompting, review habits, create role-specific books, and here like people and processes should dominate. So nothing really changed from the classic business building standards. And govern for trust. So keep humans accountable for high-stake decisions. Acknowledge that the models have limits. The models cannot decide if the lung cancer should be treated or how it should be treated if they just go through the imaging analysis. They only can stop at the imaging analysis and their predictions. So this is also a crucial thing. So for business leaders, adopt augmentation first, use cases, keep human review for high stakes work, and stop measuring success just as a head counts. For educators, make sure not to exclude AI, but rather include them into process and help your students adjust, redesign workflows, redesign curriculums, and make sure that those who graduate can really build upon AI, not just use it instead of their own brain. And for policymakers, it's very important to think about how the market overall is shaped by the AI shock and implement it into their policies, support the pathways towards gaining more experience for the new talent, and make sure that the acknowledgement of AI roles is still there. So, what does it all mean? How we can conclude that? So, AI is not necessarily destroying market. It's not really destroying the market. How many people speak about and how many people are worried about. But instead, it is reorganizing it. And this reorganization is uneven because mostly positions who have routine tasks, who are text heavy, who are data heavy, they may be shaped. More hands on experience, like more hands on professions, are not reshaped in that. AI still cannot fly the planes. AI cannot fix electricity or water. It still requires human being. And the very similar thing about any high stakes decision, because models hallucinate. Even the best model that performed very well with no mistakes for months will eventually make a mistake. And so human supervision is essential. So the question is no longer where it will affect the work. The real question is whether it will shape that we will shape that change intellectually and under our human control. And it all depends on those who are shaping that, policymakers, firm makers, CEOs, C-suite officials. And I believe that we can really succeed in that. So basically, this is it. I am done with my presentation. So please feel free to ask your questions if you have any, and I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Svetlana. It was a best presentation, statistical data used from the AI and Google. You have said about the what are the effects of the various sectors on which it can be affected, which sectors can be affected by it. At the same time, how it can be used as a tool and how today's scenario can use AI as a potential tool. And so these things are very useful, informative with the PPT by you. Thank you for a studious speech today. And I request participants they can discuss with our speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me again. So, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or I'll be happy to stay in touch and answer more questions.
Yeah, Lakshmi Shankar sir, please.
Yeah, very good evening, ma'am. So it was a very nice presentation. I want to ask you that whether AI can help us in the maintenance works of the industry.
Uh, it depends on the industry, I think. Like, what industry would you be interested in?
Mechanical, manufacturing industry.
Oh, manufacturing.
Like it may be automotive industry, it may be some product industry, any product which is doing some processes on the work, and we are converting that raw material into some finished good.
Well, that's a very interesting question. So the mechanical industry and anything that's manufacturing actually is already heavily driven by technology for for decades, right? So we have all this heavily machinery that are human operated but programmed by various specialists and that are at least partially automated. So I think since we already are speaking about this kind of automation, it may be very helpful to think about how these models can optimize. So because what is one of the advantages of the AI models is that how heavily quantitative they can become. Human mind, even though that we have all these capabilities, we don't use it for even a fraction of it, and the AI can do this computation much faster than the human beings are. So I would include here maybe some process optimization that humans cannot really spot right away. Then of course some robotics that may help to automate some lines, but again it doesn't exclude humans, because any kind of a mistake there is maybe way pricier than a mistake when someone just made a typo in Excel spreadsheet. Just think about it. What comes to my mind, all these machineries, they have multiple risks. And these multiple risks are not only to those who work in the environment, but also it may be environmental. Think about chemical manufacturing facilities or something dams that are all controlled by technology. So the small mistake, small typo made by AI, if it implements, can have catastrophic consequences for humans, for businesses around. And this is something that, again, is in the line with what I was speaking about, that we can enhance opportunities, we can increase speed, we can improve quality of the processes, but the human supervision is still necessary for the safety and security things.
Right, ma'am. Right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you, Shankar sir. Now I request Dr. Swanand Shukla sir, you can discuss, please.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Dr. BETKAR sir. A wonderful presentation today we are having on AI, and really brainstorming and really, thought-evoking, provoking, your presentation was there. So I really thanks. And the very important part is, that when we are talking about the life, if there are changes in life, then we are alive, right? If there are no changes and we'll just keep whatever we are having, I think we don't have life then. So we are living, so we are progressing, we are growing, and it is like an expanding circle. Every day we are having something new in our world, and we are really learning something, and that is how we also get a sense of achievement. So during COVID-19, we started using online media too much, and like Zoom and other Google and other things. But definitely, it has given opportunity to learn something new. And AI nowadays, it is one of the great things, and it is present in each and every field nowadays. It is not, as you have mentioned, healthcare. I belong to healthcare medical faculty. So definitely AI is working, tremendously for us. I should say, the AI and human being, human brain plus AI is a hybrid combination. And no doubt, the human brain is the supremo of that hybrid combination. It is just like a car. I'm sitting on a seat and I'm driving the car, but the car is working. So that we have to think in that way. So many people are having, that anxiety that they will lose their jobs and what will happen. They have to sit at home. So that is not true. If you really modify yourself and if you catch this trend, I think you will be the leading one. So I remember in India had sent Chandrayaan on the moon, and over there, that Chandrayaan was giving, the immense instruction we have reached and we have done this and that. So that is, I think, a extreme, utilization of AI. And in one of the countries, someone, they made AI as a minister. So we are progressing further and further in AI. It is not just related with the chat GPT or Gamma or something, but we are moving further. So it is a real strength nowadays. So everyone should go with AI. Same thing happened, with the computers. When the computers were introduced, people
Yeah.
were having a fear of losing jobs and what will happen. And we don't know how to, that operate that computers. But now everyone, even the kids are, they are utilizing these computers and laptops, and nowadays you'll find the tabs and everything is there in their hand. So I think AI will become like that only. But my question is, what is next to the AI? What you feel, what is the future generation of the AI? So that is my question. Otherwise, your presentation was wonderful. Thank you, really appreciable. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. One of the things that you probably heard of that is like the future of AI. There are some visionaries there who are really seriously confused and concerned about this LLM, like AI currently being just large language models. So basically, they only work on the linguistics part. So they don't really solve the mathematical problems. They just find these solutions in existing data. And there are a couple of people who already like resigned from OpenAI who are trying to build models that are more like human mind, where the models that would really reason, that would really create these connections between A, B, and C, these dots, rather than just finding the similar patterns in the tags that already exist in this humongous amount of data. And I personally am very curious and interested in observing this kind of, I don't even know how to call it. It's not a separate direction, but like important addition and combination of the different kind of thinking behind what we see here on the front line for the AI. So I think that may be a future, but it's subjective.
Yeah, definitely. I can see AI, like we are having, so many air crashes and, the accidents and plane accidents. So AI can make us alert regarding this. I think some kind of systems in cars, they are already present that they are giving a warning. Same thing will happen in the healthcare because I belong to medical field. If suppose there is any kind of a coronary artery disease or any kind of blockages in the cardiac region, so they will inform prior, because we consider prevention is better than cure. And if we can stamp out the spark rather than, calling out the fire brigade. So I think AI can play a great role in the healthcare system. But of course, we cannot just, put the things in the AI's hand. The human mind, the human brain, there is no exchange for human mind. So with this word, I will conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind words. Thanks.
Yeah, I want to add something little bit, Dr. Swanand sir. Actually, what we are interpreting, like you want to get alert for the crashes of the flight or something like that. So I think that is the like function of some sensors and transducers, we can say. So I think they will produce the signal whether there is less fuel or there is some all thermal problems. So there is temperature sensors, like these things will come into play, and then this information will be given further as a alert to the occupants or maybe the pilot. So I think AI is sometimes interpreted in different direction. Like it is, we are thinking about the sensors and transducers, and we are talking about the AI. So I think this is the difference in understanding the AI.
Thank you, Dr. Sanam Shukla, sir. Thank you, Manishankar, sir. A very perfect discussion on this topic. And today we enjoyed the effect of AI on the careers, how it will be used as a tool, and which sectors will be affected. At the same time, how it will be added in the career so that there should be more opportunities in the career. Thank you, Svetlana ma'am, for us your study speech and the very best PPT today. In future also, you will be here as a speaker on new topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me again. It was a pleasure. And have a good night.
Yeah.